My parents want my sister, the favorite, to walk down the aisle at my wedding. But before we start, subscribe to the channel and leave your like on the video to help me grow on YouTube and not miss any story. Let's get to the account. I think it's necessary to first give a little background to explain how this behavior reached this point and why we responded the way we did. It's a long read. I apologize. Ever since I can remember, my parents have favored my sister. And I don't mean subtly. If my sister accused me of something, they believed her and punished me. If I accused her of something, they wouldn't believe me. Even if there was irrefutable proof, she would receive a lighter punishment, and they would find a way to blame me too. Meanwhile, the flavor of my birthday cake had to be the one she wanted but not hers. And my parents always denied knowing I disliked that kind of cake. They always bought her a little more than they did for me. We went wherever she wanted, even when it was supposed to be about me. My sister grew up spoiled and didn't like me. She only used me as a punching bag. First she ignored me, but things got really bad when we were teenagers. I'm not sure which was the cause and which was the effect, but she ended up with no friends and her behavior got worse. Did her friends move away? Did they abandon her because she was mean? I don't know. Because we were never close and my parents loved boasting about her achievements yet never mentioned any problems. As for me, they loved pointing out every possible flaw and turning it into a joke. I only realized she had no friends left because we went to the same school, and I noticed she no longer hung out with anyone. Anyway, she didn't have friends. I did. In fact, I used to be pretty popular. My parents stopped letting me go out with anyone. Their excuses ranged from "they're not good company according to your sister" to "why are you trying to leave us? Why can't you be like your sister and enjoy family time?" So my social life died. And that meant my sister's only victim was now me, 24/7. I only got a break when we were at school or when I was doing homework. When I had friends, I spent as much time as I could outside, so I wasn't at home much. With that no longer an option, I started doing homework all the time. It was the only way to avoid my sister. But she soon caught on and started interrupting me when I was doing it. She'd say I was showing off, or trying to make her look bad. Then she'd start taunting me, asking me questions that had nothing to do with school. I tried to ignore her, but that never worked. My parents would come in and see her sitting there, smiling sweetly, saying she just wanted to help, and then accuse me of being ungrateful. It was constant. I started staying at the library late, pretending I had group projects. I made up clubs. I started working on college-level work years in advance just so I'd have an excuse to be somewhere else. Eventually, my parents caught on and accused me of being secretive and trying to avoid the family. My sister said I was probably doing drugs or sleeping around. They searched my room. When they found nothing, they decided I must be hiding it well, and took away my phone and laptop privileges for months. They said it was to bring me back to reality. I wish I were exaggerating. I really do. The only thing that kept me sane was knowing I'd be out of there the moment I turned 18. And I was. I got into a good university on a scholarship and left without looking back. I went low contact after that. Not no contact. Just enough that they couldn't say I'd cut them off. They didn't deserve anything from me, but I didn't want them interfering in my life. My sister, of course, was furious. She called me a traitor. My parents asked why I didn't want to be more involved, why I didn't come home for breaks. I said I was too busy. I wasn't. I just didn't want to be around people who made me feel like garbage. I graduated and got a good job. I worked hard, saved, traveled, built a life I was proud of. Eventually, I met my now husband, Alex. He's kind, supportive, and everything my family isn't. He noticed early on that something was off with them, and encouraged me to maintain boundaries. I was honest with him about everything and he understood. We got engaged last year. That's when the drama started again. I didn't plan to invite my family to the wedding. I didn't want to. But Alex's family is very traditional and big on family unity. They didn't pressure me, but I knew it would mean a lot to them if I at least extended the invitation. So I did. I sent a polite but distant invite. No phone calls, no begging, just a "you're invited if you'd like to attend" card. My parents called immediately, acting like we were best friends. My mom cried and said she was so happy I was finally coming around. My dad said he always knew I'd see sense. I ignored the passive-aggressive remarks. My sister? She sent me a long, nasty email saying I was selfish for not asking her to be my maid of honor. That she deserved it for putting up with me all these years. I didn't respond. Instead, I updated my guest list and moved them to a secondary list only to be included if people dropped out. A few months went by, and we were finalizing the wedding plans. Alex's parents offered to host a family brunch a week before the wedding so both sides could meet and get to know each other. I hesitated but agreed. I figured if it was on neutral ground it couldn't get too bad. I was wrong. My family showed up late. My mom criticized the food. My dad ignored Alex completely and spent the entire time bragging about my sister's latest job, which she had already quit a week before. My sister? She showed up wearing white and tried to make a toast about how she raised me. I was mortified. Alex's parents were polite but clearly uncomfortable. After the brunch, Alex pulled me aside and said, "You don't have to invite them if you don't want to." I almost cried. But I said I'd already sent the invites and I didn't want to deal with the fallout. I regretted it instantly. Then came the final straw. 2 weeks before the wedding, my parents called and asked to discuss the ceremony. I thought they meant logistics, seating, travel, etc. But no. They wanted to talk about tradition. Specifically, they wanted my sister to walk down the aisle as part of the bridal procession. Not as a bridesmaid because she wasn't one, but as some kind of family honor. I was speechless. I said no. My mom said, "But she's your only sister." I said, "Exactly. That's why she's not part of the ceremony." My dad accused me of being petty. My sister got on the line and said I was ruining her life. That she'd already told all her friends she was going to be in the wedding. I asked why she'd do that when she wasn't invited to be in the bridal party. She said, "Because obviously you were going to change your mind once you got over yourself." I hung up. After that call, I removed them entirely from the guest list. No more second tier. Just gone. I sent an email saying, "Due to recent events, we have decided to proceed with a more intimate ceremony. We wish you all the best." That was it. They went ballistic. I started getting calls from extended relatives, most of whom I hadn't spoken to in years, telling me I was being unfair. That family is everything. That I was letting a wedding ruin my relationship with my parents. I blocked every number. Then I set my social media to private and moved on. Our wedding day was perfect. Peaceful, full of love, surrounded by people who genuinely cared about us. Alex's family was wonderful. My best friend walked me down the aisle. We danced, laughed, and felt completely free. A week later, I got a letter in the mail. From my parents. It was a guilt trip, plain and simple. Talking about how they raised me, how they always did their best, and how they were so hurt I excluded them. I didn't respond. I don't owe them closure. What I do owe to myself is peace. And I finally have it. A few months after the wedding, I got a text from an unknown number. It was my sister. She said she was pregnant and wanted to make amends. I didn't respond. A week later I got an email. She said she'd been thinking a lot about our childhood and realized she might have been a little harsh. She didn't apologize. Just said she hoped we could move forward because our kids should know each other. I deleted it. She tried again, this time through mutual acquaintances, people I hadn't spoken to since high school. It was clear she was on a campaign to make me look bad for ignoring her peace offering. Eventually my parents joined in. They sent another letter, this time saying how important family is when you have children. I wasn't pregnant, hadn't announced anything, but somehow they knew. That's when I realized they must have been stalking my private social media through fake accounts or shared logins. I tightened my privacy even more. Deleted old accounts, created new ones with lockdown settings, and only shared updates with a tiny circle of people I trusted. I was angry at first, but then I just felt free. Every boundary they crossed, every failed manipulation, only made me more certain that cutting them out was the right thing to do. And I finally started healing. Fast forward a year. I got an offer for a remote freelance project that paid well. With the money I'd saved and the flexibility of my job, Alex and I decided to invest in a dream we'd always had, a small beachfront resort. It wasn't massive, but it was beautiful. We bought it, renovated it, and started renting it out to vacationers. It became our sanctuary. Quiet, peaceful, and completely ours. We ran it together, hosted guests, and even started offering retreats. Took work, but it was ours. For the first time in my life, I felt like I had something no one could take from me. Then one day I got a call from a name I hadn't heard in years, my cousin Emily. She said my parents were organizing a family reunion and had booked a large group vacation. She thought it was weird they hadn't told me about it but assumed I was going. I asked where it was. She said the name of our resort. I nearly dropped the phone. I asked for the dates. Sure enough, it was one of the busiest weeks of the season. Months away but filling up fast. I checked our bookings and I saw it. A reservation under a generic name, clearly made through a third-party site. I checked the email and the phone number. It wasn't my parents, but I recognized the pattern. It was one of their aliases. They had booked the entire resort, every room for a week. They didn't know I owned it. I'd never told them. It was under my business name, and I never advertised it using personal photos. But now they were planning to show up with the whole extended family for a reunion at my property. At first, I was tempted to cancel the reservation outright. Just deny them access, refund the money, and block their emails. But then I paused. I remembered all the holidays I spent alone, all the birthdays they ignored, the wedding they tried to hijack, the guilt trips, the manipulation, the years I spent trying to earn a seat at their table, only to be treated like I was never good enough. And now they were planning a grand family event without even telling me, at a place they didn't even know I owned. No, this wasn't just any week. It was my week, my chance. So I made a plan. I didn't cancel the reservation. Instead, I slowly began booking up the rooms under real guests. I offered discounts to past guests, posted a flash sale, and even gave away a few stays to loyal followers of our retreat business. One by one, the rooms filled. All but the one they'd booked. Then, a month before the scheduled reunion, I called the number they'd used. It went to voicemail. I left a message. Hi there. Just wanted to confirm your upcoming reservation. Just so you're aware, the property is now under new ownership, and due to an unexpected scheduling overlap, we'll be unable to accommodate your full party as originally planned. We'll be happy to honor the one-room booking, but all other rooms are now unavailable. The next day I got a call. It was my mom. She was furious. She said, "Do you have any idea how long we've been planning this?" I said, "No, I don't. I wasn't invited." She sputtered. Then she asked, "Wait, how do you know about the booking?" I smiled and said, "Because I own the resort." Silence. Then she said, "Well, surely you can make room for your family." I said, "Just like you made room for me at every holiday for the last 8 years?" She went quiet again. Then she said, "You're being petty." I said, "No, I'm being fair." Then she asked, "Are you seriously going to turn away your entire family over some old drama?" I said, "It's not drama. It's boundaries." And I hung up. They showed up anyway. I wasn't there. I made sure to schedule myself and Alex offsite that week, but my staff handled it. I had instructed them to treat the one reservation as legitimate and deny entry to any guests not on the list. Apparently, they were shocked to see the resort fully booked and bustling with happy guests. They tried to argue, tried to claim they had reserved the whole property. My manager pulled up the reservation and showed them. 1 room, 2 adults under a fake name. Nothing more. They were livid. My sister tried to claim she was being harassed. My dad threatened to call the police. My staff remained calm and professional. In the end, they stayed one night then left. They didn't even try to enjoy it. The reunion was a bust. The photos? Non-existent. The family bonding? Ruined. I heard through the grapevine that they blamed me for everything. Said I'd sabotaged them. That I was cruel. That I was heartless. I smiled when I heard that, because for the first time in my life they were the ones left out in the cold. After that, they went radio silent. No more letters. No more fake peace offerings. No more surprise bookings. It was like they finally understood I was done. And I was. I stopped waiting for an apology. Stopped hoping they'd change. I stopped replaying old conversations in my head, wondering what I could have done differently. I had spent so many years twisting myself into knots to be accepted by a family that only valued me when I was useful to them. Now I valued me. The resort thrived. Alex and I expanded our offerings, hired more staff, and even bought a second property nearby to turn into a wellness retreat. My life became full not just with work, but with peace, laughter, and people who saw me for who I was, not what I could give them. Sometimes I still get messages from extended family Some of them are kind. They say they wish things were different, that they don't understand what happened but they miss me. Others parrot my parents' version of events, that I've abandoned the family, that I'm bitter, that I've let money change me. I don't respond to any of them, because the truth is money didn't change me. Distance did. Boundaries did. Healing did. And if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't change a thing. Just like your house mom minds out of room.